In this edition of Neighborhood Views, What's New Malden? See what's on tap at Idle Hands Craft Ales, the new brewery and tap room that just opened up on Commercial Street. Travel back in time with Classic Diners of Massachusetts author and local expert Larry Coltrera. And go on the hunt for Pikachu in Malden, thanks to the latest Pokemon Go craze. What's new, Malden? Here are your co-hosts Sharon Filia and Sam Baltrusis from MATV's Neighborhood View.
Hello and welcome to the August edition of What's New Malden. My name is Sam Baltrusis. I am the coordinator of MATV's Neighborhood View. So joining me, of course, is my co-host Sharon Filia.
Hey, Sam.
Hello. So we have your two favorite topics. We have food
and hair.
So Pokemon Go, that's the latest craze. Tell me about that.
Well, all I know is that it's very obtrusive. People are in the street, they're searching for this thing, they're getting into accidents, so I don't know. It can be a good thing because it's getting people out of the house, but also people aren't paying attention to their surroundings, so that can be a bad thing. So I'm not sure about it yet.
So you and I recently went to the opening of Idle Hands Craft Ales.
Yes, that was so much fun. And I was able to interview Mr. and Mrs. Tkach, the founders and owners of Idle Hands. And what struck me about them was just how much of themselves that they put into the opening of their establishment. And along the way during the year journey that they took, they had a little one, so that kind of added to the stress of it. But they came through with flying colors, and it was a wonderful grand opening.
So we're going to run the clip of Idle Hands, the grand opening.
Hi, this is Sharon Filia for MATV's Neighborhood View. What's new, Malden? Idle Hands. Malden's new brewery and tap room located here at 89 Commercial Street. It's the grand opening. Let's go inside. We are here with the owners and founders of Idle Hands, Mr. Chris and Grace Tkach. Thank you so much for joining us here at the grand opening.
Thank you for having us.
Now, this journey began about a year ago. How did all of this start?
Well, we had another facility in Everett, and we basically got kicked out because of the casino that's going in there. So we were desperate to find a new location. Put out the feelers to a lot of the local cities and towns around here, talked to Kevin Duffy in the mayor's office, and he was very, very accommodating. He said, come check out Malden, we have some properties I think you'd be interested in. And sure enough, there was this wonderful property right here, right next to the downtown area, and it was a perfect fit for what we were looking to do.
It most certainly is. And Grace, tell us, so what was the final deciding factor for you to come to Malden? Did you have other cities that you were interested in locating to?
I think it was really important for us. I mean, certainly we wanted to stay close to the Boston market, close to where we started with our fan base and everything. I think it was really just a matter of finding something that really met all the needs, kind of thinking about people coming in from the city, people driving in. We, at the same time, had just started our own family, so being cognizant of the family factor as well. So I think it was just a combination of all these wonderful things coming together, which made it just perfect.
Wow. And now you have a tremendous menu. And you mentioned earlier that you and your wife actually put together the recipes for all of the beers. How difficult was that?
Well, it's like anybody who has spent a lot of time in the kitchen. You become very comfortable with the ingredients that you're used to. And then it's figuring out how to manipulate those ingredients to get the flavors that you're ultimately searching for. So, I have a background in home brewing, and that's how I started in this crazy industry, I guess. And I spent 18 years doing that, and just kind of spending a lot of time playing with different ingredients and styles and recipes and yeasts to come up with flavors that I really enjoyed.
So, Miss Grace, do you have a favorite beer that you prefer?
Well, I'd be remiss without saying that I love Blanche de Grasse. Truth be told, it's named after me, but it's also one of my favorite styles. It's a Belgian wit. It's very refreshing, perfect for the summer, light, but just has a lot of, particularly the way that Chris brews it, just has a lot of character to it. It's not like a single noted beer. So.
Here at the grand opening of Idle Hands, I'm proud to have with me Mr. and Mrs. Brian and Nicole Palazzolo, the owners and proprietors of Mystic Station, located on Prospect Street in Malden. So, Brian, why is Idle Hands important to you?
Idle Hands is very important to us on many different levels. Chris and I have been working together for a couple of years now since we opened Mystic Station. He's been providing us beer, excellent beer that our customers have grown to love. And him moving here to Malden is just going to grow us even further together, our relationship.
That's great. So you've been working with them even before they opened up here. So what made you partner with them, with Idle Hands?
We like to work together. They give us good beer, and we're actually going to be providing some food for them here at the brewery. So it works out perfect for both of us. It's a great relationship we've built over the past couple years, and we're looking forward to the future.
So if you're thirsty, come on down to Idle Hands, located at 89 Commercial Street here in Malden.
Welcome back to the August edition of What's New Malden. Again, I'm Sam Baltrusis, coordinator of MATV's Neighborhood View. Joining me now is the expert on local diners, Larry Coltrera. Tell me your backstory. Like, what led you to write about diners?
Well, the writing was way down the road from my initial interest, so to speak. I was interested in diners from the time I was a little kid, probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad actually told me about diners and that they were prefabricated restaurants. They looked somewhat like railroad cars, but they were not railroad cars or converted railroad cars. And so I knew this from a young age, and I was very observant when I went on rides in and around the greater Boston area, and I noticed all the diners that we had at that time in the late 50s, early 60s. And of course, as time went on, they started to disappear. And by around 1980, I was getting into photography. I started photographing diners as a documentation type of a thing. And in the process, 36 years later, I've photographed over 860 diners.
Wow.
I started writing a regular column for the Society for Commercial Archaeology, a national organization dealing with roadside businesses and attractions and whatnot. And I wrote the first ever regular column called Diner Hotline for them for around 18 years. I retired that in 2007 and started my blog right after that, which is called Diner Hotline as well. And the books came about because of the blog, actually.
So actually, Larry writes for the same publishing house that I do, which is History Press, now Arcadia.
Yes.
And our original commissioning editors were the same, Jeff Saraceno.
Yes.
So we were, he wrote his first book, Classic Diners in Massachusetts, is what led me to the publisher. So I was like, I love that cover. I saw it at the Rosebud Diner in Somerville, and I'm like, I have to work with this publishing house. So thank you for writing that initial book. So we focus on Malden. So I know you grew up in Medford.
Right.
What are what's your experience with the Malden diners?
Well, my first real experience with Malden diners was not until I started photographing Viv's Diner on Eastern Avenue in Malden, which is now known as the Lunchbox.
Oh, okay.
That was my first diner experience, though I do recall the Miss Malden Diner on Main Street near the Sacred Hearts Church. And, like I said, I noticed a lot of them. And in doing my research, I found out there were, of course, other diners in the city of Malden.
So speaking of the Miss Malden, we have an archival photo that I have not seen before that Larry brought into the studio, and I think it's fantastic, this old school photo. So tell us a little bit about the Miss Malden in this photo here.
Well, Miss Malden Diner was I believe it was a 1940s vintage Worcester lunch car.
Wow.
And it was situated on Main Street, just past the Sacred Hearts Church. In fact, right next to the old Saugus Branch Railroad tracks that crossed Main Street. In fact, in that photo, you will see the trolley coming up Main Street, and the trolley tracks are actually crossing the railroad tracks right at that point where the trolley is coming. And the Miss Malden is sitting just behind it. It was a barrel roof Worcester lunch car, bright red as I recall. Unfortunately, it's the only picture that exists. And believe the diner itself disappeared sometime in the 70s.
And you also mentioned the lunchbox. And the
Yes.
lunchbox is, what was it called before?
Well, it was many names over the years. It was originally owned by somebody named McDermott. It could have been Al McDermott out of Fall River. He had many diners. And it was built in 1932, delivered to Wareham. But it may not have stayed in Wareham longer than 6-7 years. And it was originally built with a counter and stools like a normal diner, lengthwise. And in about 1937 or so, the Worcester Lunch Car Company, which built the diner, reconfigured it to be more of a lunch wagon with a serving counter down one end with a kitchen behind it.
Wow.
And then stools along the windows and a large, almost like community table in the middle. So it was kind of a unique experience for a normal diner. It wasn't set up as a normal diner. And this one here, when I first went to it, it was called Viv's Diner in the 1980s. And it eventually had other names like Rose's Little Red Diner. It was called Lulu's in the early 2000s, and then it became the Lunchbox Diner, which it is today.
So when I mentioned that we were bringing on an expert on diners to the show, people were like, they lit up. What is it about diners that people love?
Well, diners basically are, a democratic type of a place. Any good breakfast and lunch place around here in, eastern Massachusetts or just central New England in general, diners are more known for breakfast and lunch. You go down to New York or Connecticut, there may be 24-hour places. But up here, it's mostly breakfast and lunch. And Malden has the one diner, the Lunchbox Diner, but there's other breakfast and lunch places around that people call home, basically, or second home. It's a local place to, shoot the breeze and have a cup of coffee, talk politics, talk whatever you want to talk about. Hopefully not argue, but anyways, there's a sense of community. A trash collector could be sitting next to the mayor. You just don't know. That's the way a good diner, a good breakfast and lunch place should be.
The people that, when I mentioned it, they mentioned the Linden Diner, and that wasn't like an old school diner.
No, that is what we call on-site. That's a storefront, just like the Doo-Wop Diner on Main Street, just past where the Miss Malden used to be, the Doo-Wop Diner is today. And back in the 80s, that was known as Steve's Diner. Those are what we call on-site. They aren't what a classic diner looks like generally. But the food, the ambiance can be diner-like, and that's what they go for. And, there's Robert's Broken Yoke down on Broadway, Franny's in Maplewood Square. There's all these breakfast and lunch places. The Donut Villa over in Highland Avenue at the shopping center, they're good breakfast and lunch place too.
So if you have not checked out Larry Contreras' book, Classic Diners in Massachusetts,
yes.
And it's also the new one as well, the
New Hampshire Diners, Classic Granite State Eateries, yes.
Fantastic books, and they go back historically, a lot of historic photos and a lot of recent photos as well. So thank you so much, Larry, for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to roll a clip on the Pokemon Go craze.
What's new, Malden? Pokemon Go. It's a new GPS-driven app that requires players to walk around in order to catch Pokemon characters. When players encounter Pokestops, which are often well-known buildings or landmarks, they can collect items that help them catch Pokemon. Some designated buildings are Pokemon gyms, where players can train and battle their Pokemon. There is also an augmented reality component in which Pokemon appear to be there in real life with the use of a smartphone camera. After Pokemon Go launched on July 6, it broke the record for the most used smartphone app. Most players are young teens and millennials who grew up watching the popular TV show and playing the Pokemon video game. Malden is no exception to the viral craze. Players can be seen chasing Pokemon, especially in the Main Street area. While the game's positive impacts include increased outdoor activity, the downside is that players can be too focused on their screens, making them vulnerable to injuries and, in some cases, assault or robbery. Recently, a man was arrested in Malden for assaulting a Pokemon Go player on Main Street in broad daylight.
Okay, so the Pokemon craze is out of control. We've had, Friday night we had 3 calls of crowds of Pokemon gatherings trying to find Pikachu and whatever the other characters are. So we were calling ourselves the Pokemon Police on Friday night.
If you plan to play Pokemon Go in Malden, please be aware of your surroundings and as non-disruptive as possible. Here are some tips for where to find Pokestops and Pokemon in Malden. Many of the local Pokestops have an artistic theme, such as the painted boxes, the painted benches at the T station, and the Malden Spirit mural. Other stops include the First Church, Mystic Station, and the Stargate.
Right there, Vic.
If you're looking for a gym, head to the First Baptist Church or the Malden Trust Company. Some local hotspots for wild Pokemon are the high school and the T station, but we also found Pokemon at Malden Government Center and even inside our very own MATV office. Take a look.
Ron, there's a bat in your office.
You're kidding. Where? My gosh. Get it.
I'm trying.
Get that bat.
It's in front of you.
Did you grab it? Did you get it?
Yes.
All right.
I got it.
We got it.
Yeah.
All right, onward. Pokemon Go.
Hi, we're back. With me now is Miss Shannon Lee of Shan Lee's Hair Design, located in South Weymouth. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh God, there's so much to talk about. You are just an artist and you're a hairstylist extraordinaire. So where do we begin? So let me ask you this. We were talking before we came on about how you started doing hair.
Well, a little joke I like to tell is that I started at 5. I gave my first haircut at 5.
Wow.
I've always been a very artistic person, so it made sense.
Right. And you started at 5, and so you were telling me, I thought it was very interesting, that you love hair, you love color, and that you would do it for free.
I would do it for free if I could.
Why is it so fulfilling to you?
Because every person's different. Every person is a new canvas, and you get to have fun with it. Like me personally, I have fun with it. I'll work 10 hours with one client.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you and the client work in concert together to kind of figure out the color scheme, what you're going to do, or do you decide everything?
Yes and no. They'll give me an idea of what they want and I run with it.
Wow. And so I presume that you probably mix the colors because you just can't buy a stock color.
Well, you can, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way is they're actually, they're direct dyes, and they come out of the tube. It's Pravana, and they come out of the tube as a color, but the best part is making a color specific for that person.
Wow, and you have to actually look at their skin color, their face, the proportion. There's a real skill set involved. And you've only been in the business for 10 years?
Less than 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, about 6-7 years.
And you've really gained some traction. Specifically, you are part of Raw Boston. Tell us about that.
It is an art show. Wow. So they contacted me via email because they liked what they saw on my Instagram. And they invited me to be on stage. They had me fill out an application, but they said it wasn't mandatory. It was just for my discretion.
Right.
And it's August 25th, and it's at Mix 360 here in Malden.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I'm nervous.
No, you'll be fine. You know, just do what you do. Now, one other thing I'd like to ask you about. I love your sleeves. Now, is this all part of your artistic expression?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Everything I wear too.
Do you have any particular favorite tattoo?
As of right now, I have this one, but my artist is insane, and it's a cover-up, as is my whole sleeve here. It's all cover-up work. I got bad work when I was younger. You know, the cheap stuff. And as you get older,
what you pay for.
Exactly. As you get older, you realize it's worth the money.
Yes.
And that's actually what I have to tell people. And where I am, you know, I charge a lot compared to what they're used to.
Right.
But if you go into Boston, it's triple that, and you get what you pay for.
You do, but also too that added dimension that you bring your passion for what you do. I've been a hairstylist, and you can tell when they're just kind of doing it. You know, they're working a job, but you actually put your heart into it.
I get excited.
Right, and that is priceless.
Yeah.
So tell us your website and your Instagram hashtag.
Okay, so it's at Shanley Hair, ShanleiHair. I have to learn how to spell. And then from there, you can see my actual website, and you can also get tickets to the Raw Artist show under me as the artist.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you so much.
us today.
It was great to meet
Oh,
you.
wow.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to cut to actually another hair piece. It's about Fulud Salon, where they do African hair braiding, Senegalese twists, and cornrow. So we're going to take a look at that right now.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Falu. I own the salon Falu African Hair Braiding. And first of all, I would thank you guys to come to my shop for this occasion. I'm doing hair braiding over now 15 years in the United States of America. It's a part of our culture. You learn the braiding at age 7, 8 years. That means the style we call Senegalese twist. That's the first time you learn at age 7, between 7 and 8. I learned that from my auntie, and I still go to school. And all of the girls in my country, they learn doing hair, and they still go to school. They graduate from school and have a good degree and have good job. And they still doing the hair braiding. That's this part of our culture. I was braiding her since she was little.
That's right.
Yeah, I was braiding her.
Remember, she used to cry.
Yeah, she used to cry at the time. Braiding, like I said, it's not easy. That's a very, very hard job. It hurts your fingers, your back, your feet, your neck. It takes a lot of hours for the customers. And also, I'm thanking the customers to come, because the braiding takes a lot of hours, and they have the patience like us too. Because if you have a customer and she sit on the chair for 6 or 7 hours at least, and that's a lot of hours. And you stand on your feet to do her hair, and the customers, they are very, very comprehensive sometimes, you know, and anything you do for them, they say, oh, Falu, I like your job, you do a great job, you are humble, you respect your customers, and that's a very big thing, you know, that's a very big thing. When customers are called to make an appointment, some customers, they make an appointment over the phone, and you help them over the phone. Sometimes they send you a style in your phone, and you check the style and call them back and tell them, yeah, I can do that. That's what it costs. That's how long it's gonna take to do it. Some customers, they walk through to the shop to get the books, so I can help them to choose the style they want and tell them what's going on and everything. And some customers too, they come sometimes call and say, I have 2 children to bring to the shop, or 1 children. But I say it's fine by me. When the children come, they are comfortable here. It's not easy to open a business like everyone. You have to struggle. It's gonna take time. You have to try everything to get here. Any kind of people come here to do their hair, weaving or braiding, and they like the job we done for them, and they keep coming and send me some people. So I even have some customers coming from far too, drive like 4 hours, and I thank God for that. I'm very, very grateful, and I think like God will give us more than that, and everybody who has business around the world. And then God bless America too, and make peace in America, like make everybody comfortable and safe in United States of America. Thank you.
Welcome back to the August edition of What's New Malden. That clip was awesome.
That was a wonderful piece. She seemed like a very, very nice lady who really enjoys her craft. We were just talking off camera. That brings back many memories from when I was a little girl of having the cornrow done. And your head hurts for about 3 days from the pain of the braids.
So you also like the fact is that I like the. What did you think of the Shannon Lee interview as well?
Oh, it was wonderful. She's so passionate about her craft. You know, she was a little nervous before the interview, and I said, "Speak from your heart," because she loves what she does. And whenever you have someone who loves what they do a remarkable job, and that just comes through. But she said all her life that she's been very artistic, and it's just part of who she is.
I love the interview with Larry Coltrera. It was great to see those old photos of what Malden was like back in the day.
And he's full of trivia. So the movie The Blob, he said that was filmed in the Downingtown Diner. Who knew?
I didn't know that.
And neither did I tell you.
So we are working on a regional news show. It's called Beyond Boston. We have been selected for the August, which is the premiere of the new show.
That's
and I'm
right.
happy to announce that we have 2 winners of a national award, Marsha Minogue and Karen Lynch.
Yes.
They did a fantastic clip on homeless families.
Oh.
I was in a relationship. I was married for 10 years. I wasn't allowed to work or anything like that. But I finally got the courage to, decide for myself what to do for me and my kids, because I was being physically, mentally, and sexually abused. And I finally got out. I got me a job, but it only lasted a couple of months, because when I least suspected, he showed up at my job site with my kids and all their clothes and just dumped them there. And I had to leave work. And when I went home, my furniture, all my belongings was in the yard. The locks were changed, and so I lost my home and my job. It's a moment that you really don't know who to go to or whatnot. My mother was also living with me, so she became homeless herself. My sister took her in, but she only had a 2-bedroom. So I was basically staying with friends, here and there. But I felt like I was being a bother. I didn't have no job either. It was difficult. I would sleep in cars with my kids. Until one day I just decided to just get a suitcase, one for each of us. And I just went into DTA, and I was there all day, no food, no nothing, until they placed me in a hotel. A lot of people say it's very uncomfortable, you're in a room, but it's way better than having to sleep in a car or being in the street cold, especially with your children. As soon as we got there, we were just happy that we had a bed. It was air conditioned. They was just happy. You can't cook or anything like that. Sometimes your food goes bad, but it's a blessing to have a roof over your head. Yeah.
Clip was awesome. There were 2 of my students who was part of Neighborhood View, and they just did an amazing job. So we're going to air that clip on the regional show.
That sounds great.
I'm so proud of Marsha Minogue and Karen Lynch. So congratulations, you 2.
They worked so hard on that very, very moving piece.
So we're going to give you a sneak peek of the new show, Beyond Boston. Thank you, and have a great month.